Hey everybody, it's Wahome from Wahome Gitonga Coaching. Hope you're all having an amazing Wednesday and you're staying motivated and staying productive. Welcome to another episode of Business Conversation Interviews, where we interview the most successful people from across various industries, from coaches, business owners, entrepreneurs, influencers, doctors, lawyers, a variety of successful people. So today I'm lucky to have the privilege of interviewing Nicky Massyn. And Nicky Massyn is one of the top UK coaches specialising in confidence and resilience. And she's going to be sharing with us lots of key insights in terms of how to increase your confidence, how to build more resilience, and also how to have like a winning mindset. So without further ado, let me welcome Nicky.
Hi there.
Hey
How are
Nicky,
you?
good
How's it
to
going?
see you. I find you.
Good, thank you. Good to see you.
It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, looking forward to it.
So we'll dive into the first question.
Yeah.
So tell us about yourself. What is your background and how did you decide to get into your business?
My background is I've spent probably about 20 odd years in leading fast moving consumer goods companies. So in all the blue chip companies, where I was ultimately doing category management. And my last role was the strategic category manager, looking after basically the sales team as well as the sales strategy, as well as our marketing strategy that we could then take out for the business and also to our customers. So for me, I loved working in it, but interestingly, my change of career came about through some adverse effects, actually. I unfortunately lost my mom very suddenly, and I also, within the space of 2 years, we had 2 miscarriages. So I sort of had a really, really tough time with all of that and dealing with all of that at the same time. And I actually had a sort of completely burnt out of work because work was busy. And so I took time off because at that time my husband and I decided that we wanted to take time for me to just try and see if we could have a family. And during this time, as I'm resting and sort of trying to recover, and going through all the process of everything, I had more time. And I remembered that I'd actually had a bursary with the coaching academy for a coaching course because I loved it. I mean, I've always loved psychology and I've always loved, working with my teams and bringing the best out of them. And so I started actually just doing the coaching course thinking that's going to pass my time whilst I was on my fertility journey. And it just ignited a fire inside of me that I just can't even explain. I just absolutely fell in love and I just didn't stop. So I started with all my different courses from personal performance into NLP and we'll go on to it. But it's just, I can't stop learning enough about coaching and the difference it can make. And it's an ongoing journey for myself and for clients and people. And, I've just really found a passion that I don't think I could ever move away from now. So that's generally how I got into it.
So what's your idea behind your business? Like, why did you go, because there's different kinds of coaching, so what made you attracted to confidence and resilience?
Well, that's an interesting one because initially I thought the beginning was all about, I wanted to help people because I had this need and I wanted to help people never go through the place that I was in, which was, like when you're broken down and you really are feeling at your all-time low. And actually, I originally started with coaching because I loved it, doing career coaching. And through my experience with clients and also through my own learning about evolution of my strengths and my abilities, I started realizing that my passion was really about helping people to build up their confidence and really helping them to build up manage their mindset as well as their energy to build up their resilience. And it kind of evolved from that to being a sweet spot. So rather than just one-on-one coaching, I'm so passionate about educating people. So giving real insights about some of the facts and figures about what happens to our body, and then supporting. So it's really coaching them on one-on-one or through workshops, and then empowering them on a constant journey that they can take forward with their lives. So to me, that was just, it's an evolution, and this is where I'm at now, but I just know that there's an education part as well as a support and empowering role.
You can feel your passion. I love that. You can feel your passion. Yeah, it's coming out. Yeah.
I know, careful, I'll carry on.
So, what's been the biggest challenge you personally faced when you started your business, and what was the keys to enable you to overcome that challenge?
I think that the first thing that I noticed was I wanted I wanted to get everything right and do it all at once. And I didn't know then how much my business would evolve. And the biggest thing for me is taking a step back and realizing that I don't need to do it all by myself. I can actually ask for help. I can, asking different people about how to do things better rather than just on my own. So I started reaching out through people that I was training with, speaking to different coaches, and just it's a community of learning. And this is the world that we're living in. Is how do we help each other? How do we all evolve into better beings? And that's what I had to learn is not to feel that it was just about myself and what I needed to achieve, but it is about actually engaging others and learning through it.
Yeah, I think that's a definite point. That it is all about learning and adding value to people. So yeah, I can definitely feel and resonate what you're saying there. So what's been the unique skill that's helped you to become so successful, do you think?
Again, for me, I would say what I've evolved and learned is trusting in myself and trusting in my own intuition. So what I love knowing is that I'm prepared, I've got a lot of information, but it's then also trusting in my own experiences of being on the receiving end or being really stuck in that moment. So that I've learned with trusting my intuition is to draw on my wide variety of different skill sets and knowledge to then fine tune it to what my clients are really needing. And I think that's intuitively let me unfold, because I've always got a curiosity to find out about what's going on with people anyway. But that curiosity matched with a need that I need to get results. I love getting results. So it's sort of knowing how to keep the momentum going forward. I think that has really helped.
Yeah, that's a good. I think yeah, because we are in a results business, value and results business. So if you have that passion for it, then yeah, that's what is going to endear you.
Well, exactly.
So, what advice would you give to someone who was thinking of starting out a practice or a business, but they're just too afraid to make that first step and they keep procrastinating?
I mean, the first thing that came to mind there was about if you don't try, you'll never know. So, life is too short. So it's worth taking a step forward. And to be more practical about it is, from a coaching side of things, is realizing, yes, it is probably stepping into the unknown. So how do you equip yourself? How do you get yourself ready to be able to make those steps? So it's chatting to people, it's learning, it's studying, it's giving you the resources to be able to make even a little baby a step forward is going to help you at least gain momentum to move forward. Because the more you know, the more you're aware, the more you feel comfortable in an environment, the bolder your steps will be. So it's just help yourself in finding just those first little steps that are going to help you feel a little bit safer. Because the potential is limitless, because you never know how wonderful it can be.
Yeah, and how did you... So I noticed that with a lot of businesses when they start out, they find that managing their own mindset is a challenge in terms of like their fears, thoughts. So what was the key to you to like being able to push past, especially when you're starting your business? Like you might have had this fears yourself of like, can I be a coach? So what was like the tips for you that allowed you to get past that?
Again, I think that number one thing, and I mean, I'm sure most coaches would talk about this, is awareness. And so for me, it's a bit about awareness of saying, what's the situation? It's something new. So actually, it's all right to feel afraid, but you're not in danger. You're not you're not, the whole world's not going to fall down if you try things and it doesn't really work. But the awareness that I'm also talking about is engaging and listening and talking to other people, learning what works for them, testing and learning. The biggest thing that I learned was, one of my hurdles was, in the beginning, it was, how do I tell my story? How do I, what am I telling myself, and how do I tell that to other people? Because I felt other people were going to judge me when I went, I'm completely changing my career. I'm not this, sitting in a corporate world, I'm now actually really helping people. And it was such a mind shift. And so the first thing I started doing was working with what is my story? How am I going to tell my story? And then once you have that, it's almost like visualizing, and it starts unfolding and manifesting, and it all just starts. And people are so, and also showing vulnerability. People are so warming and open to people that actually are vulnerable in front of them. It's a wonderful experience, actually.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. So you shared a bit about this already, but what are the common reasons why people come to you for coaching, and how specifically can you help them?
So for me, it's twofold. The main reason that most people come to me is talking about confidence, and this can be in a variety of different things that are happening in their lives. And the other side of it is when people are feeling really stressed or overwhelmed, and they just feel that, their life's off track, or they're just not coping. So there's a bit of a sort of a plea for help and just trying to get some balance and some control back around their energies, around their mindsets. So for me, I look at three different ways. With clients, it's very much about what they need. So I would sit and chat to them and find out what they really want out of coaching. But it's about either creating the bespoke sessions, which is, a set of 6 or 4 or 6 or 8 sessions where we work through anything that they want to work through, as long, within a theme. I also have, because of my training, I've also trained as a kinetic shift practitioner, and also do rapid hypnosis, which are more targeted sessions. So there's a particular emotion or feeling, or it could be a fear or phobia. I have targeted sessions, so those are like 90 minutes. Probably need 2 sessions of that, where we try and actually break away that negative emotion of that experience. Or I run a program which is very much about building up your unique, authentic confidence and resilience through a structured program, which is essentially nine sessions of taking people through a journey of self-discovery. So it's self-awareness, self-compassion, and then self-trust. And as I say, that's more structured. So it's totally sort of bespoke. Let's go with any topic, very targeted to break some of the emotions, or the structured program.
It sounds as if you specialize, because obviously, like, I tend to find that confidence can be like surface level, so it can be confidence and actions, but it's really what it sounds like your coaching is based around, like helping people go the layer underneath and work on like the internal blueprint and clearing things like blockages and traumas that might be stopping them from moving forward.
100%. So I mean, my brand vision and is unleashing your authentic potential. And what does that mean? Like, authentic is our genuine selves. And my philosophy is that each of us have unique strengths, unique traits that are our natural abilities. And what I see when we get into flow, when we understand ourselves, when we truly understand ourselves, rather than looking outwardly to get the balance, is when we tap into that and we start defining how we can build and develop the areas that we may not be good in, then that's when we step into our flow, and we really, life becomes easier. Look at my career. When I was good at my old job, but it was hard work. I had to work hard, and I felt more drained and that. But now if I look at what I do with coaching, I'm now playing to my strengths, playing to my passions. And it's a joy, and I feel so alive doing it that there's a different vibration, there's a different energy, and that culminates into a totally different sense of confidence, which is the confidence to be me and to really make a difference in people's lives.
So this leads me on to my next question. So in a recent survey of about 9,000 workers across various industries in the UK done this year, it found that 70% of women and 60% of men suffer from lack of confidence. In your opinion, why do you feel that so many people nowadays in the workplace are suffering from lack of confidence that's hindering them from being able to acquire higher salaries or progression up the career ladder? Like, why do you think that is nowadays?
Yeah, I think that it relates to what I've just been talking about now, in the sense of, in today's world, in today's society, we are very externally focused. So we're measuring our successes on how much money we're earning, or the status we're earning, or how popular we are on Facebook or social media, or how many people like us, and are we there you know, with everyone else saying yes as an affirmation. And I think that its nature has, as we've evolved, we know that our prefrontal cortex has exponentially grown, which means we think a lot more. That's our conscious mind, is our prefrontal cortex. So we think a lot more than we used to. So when we put more meaning onto these external factors, rather than listening to how we're feeling and trusting inwardly about what we are good at and the things that we do, I think people today are really battling with coping with confidences because they've lost a sense of listening to themselves. So we're so much in our heads and thinking about everything else that we've actually stopped to really listen to what we want to be doing, how things are making us feel, where are our strengths, where are the areas that we really want to focus on. And I think that's what's making a difference. So we're burning out.
Yeah, I was reading an article a couple of weeks back, and they were talking about self-awareness and how, you know, people have lost the knowledge of what it is they want, what their needs, desires, and instead they end up comparing themselves to people around them and saying, well, because I don't know, maybe my friend has the latest car, I need to have that car, and actually not living their life, they're actually living their friend's life. They're trying to copy that, and so they lose their own identity.
Yeah, I mean, you just have to think like technology and globalization, because we think so much, we've managed to create. But what that means is we've become very vulnerable in a huge world and society. So before we used to just say, okay, how am I doing in my community? Am I doing well? You know, and there was a level of comparison that said, are we doing well? But now, who do you compare against? How do you compare against anyone when it's just, you've got the whole world up there now?
That's very true. So what advice would you give someone who came to you and they said, I'm suffering from low self-esteem and I'm looking to overcome this?
So self-esteem, in my view, is very much about the beliefs that we have. So what do we think? Where are what are some of the limiting beliefs that we have about ourselves, and particularly if we have a sort of low self-esteem? So the advice there is to, again, raise your awareness about what is the story, that what are you saying to yourself? What is the internal dialogue? What is the conscious mind telling us? But also being aware of the different ways that we behave, because some of it will be happening through decisions or beliefs at the back of our mind, our unconscious mind. So we will react in certain ways. So it's just starting to be conscious of how we are. And once we're aware of maybe the triggers of things that are bringing down our self-esteem or belief in ourselves, then we can start saying, well, actually, where is the evidence on what that is? Is it really true? Is that what everyone else is saying, or is it just me seeing this? And then once we have that more information, we can start saying, well, we can selectively choose new beliefs to look at. We can choose new behaviors to look at. We can empower ourselves, because our brains are muscles that we just can keep working, and we can strengthen it to a positive mindset. So it is a bit of work to challenge it, put it aside, and replace it with really good, positive, resourceful thoughts and resources for us to move forward.
I think that's very true. I think I like your point of like identifying whether it's the truth to you or not, because, you know, I tend to find, like, you know, you might find someone who says, I can't do public speaking, and then they go and do a speech at a friend's wedding. And, you know, so I think you're right. Like, I think we need to actually look at our beliefs and actually think, okay, is this the truth? And do I have evidence that actually disproves this?
Yeah. And the key on that is even at one point in time, we may have utilized a certain behavior as a coping mechanism. So, I can't speak because at that time it wasn't appropriate. But if we don't assess or challenge whether that belief is still relevant in today's world, then we're holding ourselves back to the past. And that's not necessarily true, because we can always learn the new way that we can actually empower ourselves or unlock that behavior and say, oh my goodness, I'm a brilliant spokesperson. I want to go and do lots of speeches now, you know? So it's just about the relevance and whether it's still credible.
So you say that obviously on your website that you talk about resilience and well-being. So what is the key to building like resilience and well-being? And what does that look like when you describe that to your clients?
So resilience has evolved. I mean, there's no doubt in that. Resilience used to be just about overcoming adverse or bouncing back from adverse effects. In today's world, resilience is about being able to maintain our lifestyle because of this the high pressure that we live in, the high expectations, the high standard of living that we want to have, means that we have upped our ante in the level of energy we put into the world on a daily basis. So that, coupled with sometimes, and it will happen to all of us, adversity happens to everyone. So when that adversity happens, we are now doing an evolution of maintenance and coping with that adverse effect. So in my view, having a really true self-awareness of how do we keep our energy levels right? How do we keep ourselves having a positive mindset? So it's a really resourceful mindset so that we are being able to cope and keep our energy tank fueled for everyday living so that when adversity does hit, we're not totally wiped out. We are still able to then have that ability to bounce back.
Yeah, I like that. So what advice would you give to someone who is struggling to overcome an experience such as a relationship breakdown or failing to get promotion, and they wanted to move past from this, but they just keep hitting like that roadblock and they can't move past?
That's an interesting one because it just depends on what it is. So again, it's trying to understand try and gather as much information about what's going on in that moment. Are there bigger patterns? So not just potentially the immediate moment of a breakup or something like that. What's the bigger picture? Are there certain patterns that are leading to it? Is it driven by a belief? Is it driven by a behavior that you're getting the same sort of negative results? Because once you start being aware of that trigger, you can then start saying, well, then you've got choices about how you handle that. And a big thing about that is when you start focusing on how you want to believe or how you want to behave or how you want to feel, then you can start looking at new options to be able to achieve that. So you create new success strategies to overcome the ones that have been holding you back.
That's very true. And so what would you advise someone, sorry, actually, so in your extensive coaching experience, what have you found are the key steps like that you'd advise people when it comes to building a winning mindset or a growth mindset?
Sorry, a great mindset.
A growth
mindset. Okay, yes. Yeah. There's a variety of different things. So again, it's going to start off with, I use this analogy. And the number one thing is to be able to
Nicky, your screen froze, so we missed what you said before.
Oh gosh, okay, sorry. Yeah. No, I was saying I normally use this analogy when you're talking about it, creating a positive or growth mindset. It's like it now starts with awareness. So like any racing car driver, you're going to get into your car, but you're going to know what engine you've got, what tires the tires you have, how full your tank is. And you can say that you can get onto a track, because yes, it will take skills to navigate it, but the number one thing is self-awareness of yourself. So we need to understand ourselves as being the cars. So what are we good at? What aren't we good at? And how full is our tank? So how do we measure? Because then we're going to be able to navigate the way around navigate, adapt, and learn how we navigate ourselves around that course. So when you start looking at the positive mindsets, when you have that information, again, you can start then drawing in on resources to help you either top up your energy or change some of the beliefs that are not helping you at the moment. So it's just that will help you do the shift in behaviors and thoughts that will enable you to have a better and more positive growth mindset.
I love that race car analogy. That's a good one. I like that. So what do you think are the most common reasons why people normally struggle to create life meaning and purpose?
So for me, meaning and purpose is a sense of relevance. It's a sense of emotion. It's if we come back to who we really are, we're human beings and part of nature. And this is one of my guiding principles of my approach to coaching is understanding who we are and what we are generally wired to do. So neuroscience is catching up to it. But if you think about it, when you connect with someone or when you feel valued, that gives you sense of meaning. And that drives a lot of purpose in your life, because that connection, being able to offer help to other people, gives us a sense of meaning that we are contributing to a wider society, wider network. And it totally changes the way that it releases serotonin in our brain. So it changes our anxiety levels to actually be really happy and more productive. So we start functioning a lot better as bodies. So people that are not feeling that meaning or purpose in lives, for me, is I would start with the step of saying, what are you passionate about? What do you care about? What is bringing emotions into your life that is making those feel good emotions? And you start there. So then it's stepping stones to actually then helping yourself first. And then the stronger you are, the more you're going to be able to help other people.
Yeah, it reminds me of, like, I read something as well on Twitter. Someone was talking about, like when you go for a car, you get car MOT.
Yeah.
Like you should do like a person life MOT every quarterly or every annually, where you look at different areas of your life, and you actually look at your relationships, your financials, your happiness, all these things, and actually give a overview, because we don't tend to really have that awareness.
Yeah.
And take stock of, like, am I really happy right now in the projects I'm doing? Am I generating enough money? Is my relationship strong right now? And we tend to just either try and like go for the next target and steamroll through that, but actually properly taking stock of our own internal world and seeing, like, are there areas where I need to improve, or
100%.
am I strong in these certain areas? So that's what I was thinking about when you were saying that. I was thinking, like, people actually should be having that more awareness over different areas of your life.
Well, I totally agree with that, because that's the principle there, is like, we want to live a life which is like, on a scale out of 10, we want to live a life of like 9 or 10, with meaning, with purpose, with the luxuries in life, everything that in the bundle. But the only person that's going to get that in your life, with the meaning, with the purpose, with the performance, is yourself. So if we're not taking the time to understand ourselves, to learn about ourselves, to really connect with how we feel, because that also affects how the chemistry in our body works and how resilient we are health-wise. If we're not connected and feeling balanced and feeling congruent with ourselves, then we're not going to be able to get that standard of living. Because if we're only doing self-development up to a level 3, how are we expecting to live at a level 10 or 9?
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. So during difficult times like we're currently experiencing with the whole COVID, or the whole like race equalities kind of issues coming up right now, there's a lot of people who are feeling demotivated, especially because they're at home. So what are your 2 best tips that allow you to stay motivated during times like this? And what can you advise people who are struggling with motivation?
So for me, and one of the courses, and again, probably one of the underlying principles of my coaching, is utilizing the principles from the harmonizing alignment process. And that's when we akin ourselves to nature and we take the learnings from nature, because essentially we are human beings. So, and what helps me the most in this scenario is knowing that, just like in nature, everything happens in cycles. Everything has a start, middle, end. And, we've got to grow, rest, repair. And the importance of that is when we start saying, okay, I trust in the fact that things will change, things will evolve, the cycle will turn, means that it's okay, because it will change. So we take the pressure off from feeling stuck. We take the pressure off ourselves to saying that we have no other options. I mean, if you look at it in the beginning, remember how everyone, it's been a really tough time for everyone, learning new things, different scope. It's not been easy for anyone. And obviously people have really had losses as well as learning their own things. But the beauty of it, compared to the beginning, we've gotten to a new way of, like a new pattern. We're now experiencing different blessings that we would never have had before, like spending more time with family, connecting with friends online, learning that we can be really capable on technology, that we can connect in different ways. And it's quietening time that we've actually almost having the time to really have our own self-awareness. We have walked away from this so far already, knowing and experiencing how capable we are to cope with adversity. So there's so many benefits of it. So when you start seeing that things will change, and then you start noticing how much you've achieved just to get where we are and how much we've learned about ourselves, then that's how I can try and get through the whole COVID side of things, and knowing that, no matter what adverse things are going to come my way in the future, it's about not panicking and throwing it totally up. It's about just slowing down and saying, stop, okay, let's see where it is. Let's see how this can evolve. What can I take on from this learning? How can I learn to adapt and change here? Well, I can do that in the future. So I've learned so much. I've really upskilled myself, and as would everyone else in this time.
I think I like what two things you were saying there is, I think the first thing I got is that, how people, we spend so much time trying to control things out of our control.
Yes.
Like we can't control COVID,
yeah,
but we can control the results that we're producing and controlling the action that we're taking. And I think a lot of times I tend to find that people don't focus on their own results, controlling what they can control, and they'll be, oh, COVID's happening, so it's the end of the world,
Yeah.
And the other thing I noticed we were talking about is achievements. And I think a lot of times people, they don't acknowledge their achievements, and they'll move on to the next thing, and they'll downplay. So they might, I don't know, they might be wanting to grow a business, and they forget they've done all these things. Like they might have created a website, and they say, I haven't achieved my overall target, and so just focus on one target. So I tend to find that is an issue. So what would you advise someone who finds it hard to celebrate their achievements?
Well, I think let's come back to the reality of it. As human beings, we're hardwired, naturally programmed to focus on the dangers or the threats, because that ensures our survival. And it worked for us really well, even in the sort of caveman days or earlier times where we were watching out for the tiger that was going to come around the corner, because that meant that we were survived. But because we've evolved so quickly, in today's world, there's so many more threats that are going on. And the key is to then say, well, and exactly as you just said, is focus on the things that are in your control. Because the things that are out of your control, what's the point in worrying about it? There's nothing you can do about it. But once you actually say, okay, what can I do? What can I influence? Then I'm going to have choices about how I go about handling it. The second thing is then realizing that today's world, for us to learn, for us to evolve, and to keep our energies up, is to absolutely make note, use our brain as a muscle, retrain our brain how to remember the good things. And it can be as simple things of, we know a lot about in today's world is about gratitude journals and writing down 5 things that you're grateful for today, or going out and just observing the world around you and watching nature and just feeling the gratitude. And the more we focus on the positives, the more we are starting to downgrade our fight or flight mode, which is our natural anxiety response. And we're starting to be calmer. And it's a muscle, and we've got to work hard at it. This is part of that self-development. And it's real, because I think there's in the industry, I find there's such a thing about say your 5 things and it's going to make the whole thing better. And it's not. It's really about the things that you really are thankful for. And you go, thank God, actually, it's the end of today. That could be what you're grateful for, because I made through a tough day. Or it could be, wow, I was so thankful for the kind words that one of my clients have said to me, because that keeps me motivated. It's really feeling the positives, feeling the essence of what is good in life that will shift our mindsets.
Well, I love that answer. So what is one of your favorite client success stories, and why?
Oh gosh. I don't see it as one. I really don't. I'm incredibly moved. I'm a very empathetic person, so I really do feel a lot of what the energies and feelings that other people have. But just seeing people that I work with start to trust in themselves. There's a little switch that suddenly goes, hold on, I'm here, and this is something that I can do, and there's a switch. So, I mean, I've seen a variety of different things, from clients that have been able, through my kinetic shift, being able to get onto public transport again, which has never, had a fear and phobia, not being able to do that. So, I mean, the lifestyle changes for her have been immense, because now she can commute. And just the joy that she feels. One of my other clients through the harmonizing was more about learning self-compassion, and that was the inner dialogue, and just how much happier and more balanced she felt every day. I mean, all of my clients do generally walk away with that, but it's the smaller things that people are just feeling that they're actually enjoying their lives. That, they make changes. And one of my other projects is that we've been working on is creating a vision for the next 50 years. And, how do you know that you're making a difference? And that's, to me, I mean, it's been so rewarding for me to be exposed to it, because it's made me question some of the things that what am I going to do? How am I going to make a difference and add that meaning to the next 50 years? It's brilliant. So I think everyone, I can't say there's one. I get so excited about it, everything. But it really, it's just the subtle differences to the big differences are just as amazing.
I can definitely feel like you have that energy, that love for your clients and results. So I can definitely feel that coming through you. That's good, So could you provide us with 2 or 3 resources? And these could be books or podcasts or anything that you think that could help people, or you could recommend to our viewers to check out, that be around increasing the confidence.
So for me, the interesting thing about confidence is I almost see confidence as an output. Like we build confidence out of, because we are feeling balanced and we're feeling content and we're feeling safe and we have meaning in life. And because then when we're in our flow, that's when the confidence starts coming through. Like true, when I'm saying that, and you mentioned it earlier, is the external confidence that we want to tell people. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the true inner confidence of trusting in yourself, believing in what you're doing, and being in flow. So I would say for me, the biggest sort of game changers in the way that I've experienced things and is about understanding. So I think it's critical to understand what's going on with our bodies and the science of our bodies and nature. And a wonderful blog presenter, spokesperson is a chap called Joe Dispenza, he's absolutely phenomenal. He's overcome from being paralyzed and being able to walk again. He's been told he's not allowed to walk. But he's looking at the balance between setting intention and aligning emotion, and how that totally transforms our abilities and to unknown recoveries. So he's really leading a thought pattern and understanding in that arena. So that real neuroscience side of things I love, because again, coming to confidence is what we believe is what is possible. So the more information we believe in and the more possibilities we believe in, the more opportunity we have. The other person, and again, this is I think has been a massive game changer for me in, as we say, dealing with COVID at the moment, or the stress and anxiety that we now live in today's world, is Dr. Stephen Porges, who has done a lot of research on the polyvagal theory, which is how we go from our natural state of well-being, then we experience stress, and then we go into our flight or fight response, which is all subconscious, and some of the responses to it. And then when our fight or flight response doesn't actually save us anymore, then we go into our traumatic state where we want to withdraw and that sort of thing. So understanding how our bodies react to things, I think, is so powerful. So Dr. Stephen Porges, I would definitely say, is key, and another huge influence in my life. And then a wonderful book, which I think is a great understanding and a really easy read, because a guy, it's Carl Vernon, who talks about anxiety rebalance. And it's just about understanding ourselves, understanding what's going on, and this whole self-discovery bit about how do we actually use the science then a bit to rebalance and to keep ourselves self-regulated so that we can then be the best versions of ourselves. Because I think once you can be that, you're in balance and you're optimized, that's when all your confidence will start flowing.
It's a good resource you could have. I like that.
Yeah, so you can see I'm very information-based coming into how do you actually then empower. Yeah.
So we know what you're good at. What's one hobby or activity in your personal life that you're not very good at?
So, a funny one. Possibly not trying to be a coach all the time. No, I'm joking. There are a few things. So I definitely still struggle from trying to be making things too perfect. You know, and I can find myself getting very fixated on, I've got to get this absolutely right. And I think that can hold me back because I'm spending way too much time rather than actually getting into the stuff that I like doing. So it's something that I've gotten a lot better, but I certainly see myself going into old patterns, especially when things are busy. I go into old patterns very quickly. And that's why, as I say, we need to work in repetition to train new ways. So yeah, I think ruminating and getting fixated on trying to make things just so.
Okay, so the next one is 2 questions in one.
Yeah.
So the first part is what's next for you in terms of your practice? And the second question is how can people reach out to work with you? Like what social media platforms are you on? What are your handles? And what's your website information that people can reach out to work with you?
Yeah. So next steps for me is, and I'm sure this is with most coaches, is realigning and doing a lot more things online. And what I really want to do next is I'm on this evolution, as I say, from doing some of the major one-to-one coaching, which I still do and I love, but I want to also start doing more education. So opening up on workshops, doing more webinars and that sort of thing, which is more informed and then helping people on their own journey of discovery. And with that, I've got a view of doing my online tool, which will be something that people can actually run through on a confidence program and a resilience program. So that's all will be coming through down the track. It's to continue with my training. So I still work with a mind body breakthrough. I present some of their trauma, the brain and recovery workshops, which is really good for individuals and also who are suffering from trauma, as well as psychotherapists and therapists. So I love that because it's giving me the insights around that. So I'm going to continue with that. I also work with Waves Wellbeing, which is the corporate side, about corporate well-being, which is lovely because it brings my resilience coaching there. So I've got sort of fingers and pies, and obviously I'm also working with harmonizing with Dawn Breslin, which is actually starting to coach and train coaches on running the harmonizing program. So that's another element which I'm building up and working towards. So there's quite a few fingers and pies. But for me individually as a coach, and the key with my working on the confidence and resilience coaching is I'm on Facebook, obviously, and I actually did a little thing. So I don't know, does this work actually? Authentic Me Coaching.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, can you see, kids? Can you read that? So
I was backwards round for me, but
you
just read it out.
I don't know. Yeah. So I'm on Facebook under Nicky Massyn, or I think Authentic Me Coaching, because my business name is Authentic Me Coaching. I'm on Instagram, which is authentic_me_coaching, which is the handle. And then obviously my email address is info@NickyMassyn, NICKYMASSYN -lifecoach LIFECOACH.com. And the same would be my web, which would be www.NickyMassyn-lifecoach.com.
So I recommend anyone who's watching this now or watch this later, definitely reach out to Nicky and work with her because you're going to get some great results. And you can even feel by her passion on this call that, you know, she's passionate about getting results. So definitely reach out to her.
Yeah.
And so the final question is, what's one final piece of advice that you want to leave with people when it comes to increasing their confidence that you want them to take away from today's interview?
I think the biggest part for me is really saying, trust in yourself, get to know yourself. You're the one person that you're going to spend your whole life with. So to really feel confident and start believing in yourself is you've got to know yourself. And it's a wonderful journey because it is just fantastic to build your confidence, to know yourself, know how you work is just going to build your confidence in every level. So what works for you at work? What is your style? So just get to know yourself. Spend the time looking inwardly rather than everywhere outside. And then once you understand yourself, then you can start going outwardly. But get to know yourself first.
It's great advice. Yeah, so thank you, Nick. It's been a real pleasure interviewing you, and like you've given us lots of amazing insights and stuff that I think that's going to really help people who watch this now and will watch this later in the replay. So yeah, it's been a real honor interviewing you.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and so everyone else who's watching, there are going to be more business conversation interviews coming up soon, so check out for those. They will be live on Instagram, and you'll see. When you look at my stories, I will post them when they're coming up. Otherwise, Nicky, it's been amazing to interview you, and we wish you the best of luck in the future.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And also, yeah, so have a great evening.
Thank you, and you too. Yeah,
thank you.
Definitely. And thanks for the opportunity. I really
My pleasure. It's
okay.
my pleasure to interview you.
Thanks so much.
All right, take care. See you soon, Nicky.
See you soon. Okay, cheers. Bye. Bye.